Okay, so today is September 19th. We have our race meeting. I think we have a couple of items on the agenda today. One is to discuss the Chevy Chase Day and our table. Two, I had mentioned about us possibly having some type of like meet and greet in the neighborhood or a race social sometime this fall. And then Ron, you had one item that you mentioned. Could you refresh?
Yeah, I just wondered if at the Rays committee table at Chevy Chase Day, if we might want to have a little questionnaire or something to sort of give people something to do, and also it would give us some sort of information about where people are at these days. It was just sort of a random-ish thought.
Okay. So I guess we can go in the first item for the agenda is what we should have on the table for Chevy Chase Day. When you mentioned the questionnaire, is it just like a general questionnaire about, I know you sent out the email, but I didn't fully read it. Is
I
it
had, let me see here if I can find it. Just give me a second. I've been working with Lisa and the other a few residents and few ANC commissioners on this bigger survey,
okay.
and it's been very frustrating for me because it's really been a effort where the focus has been on all the problems that people imagine, whether they're real or not, that might occur at the civic core, without focusing at all on the potential benefits and the positive aspects of building affordable housing and bringing, diversity, et cetera, to to the neighborhood. Basically, they've been the survey doesn't ask people why they are opposed to anything. It just says, do you want to build there or not? And one of the questions that I had proposed to that group was something along the lines of building more or less affordable housing in Washington, D.C. Building more or less affordable housing has a disproportionate impact on Black residents, and I forget what my options that I offered were. That, do you have it there?
I can find it.
Yeah, it's. I apologize. I should have pulled it up before. Well, give me a second here. Just a second.
An idea for discussion. Okay, you said, you want me to read this?
Yeah, why don't you read that question that I threw up
You
there?
suggested a 3 or 4 questionnaire of our own. Okay, in Washington, D.C., when the amount of dedicated affordable housing built is limited or reduced, it disproportionately impacts African American residents. Do you think this should be a consideration in making planning decisions for the civic core? Yes or no? If yes, why? Check all that apply. Promotes racial equity, promotes social economic equity, reverses historical exclusion, promotes neighborhood diversity, other. And if no, why?
Right. So that was I gave that to this survey committee as a suggestion for maybe something that might go into their civic core survey, to sort of give some of the answers context, and basically they ghosted me. They ignored it totally. They didn't even consider it. And, you know, so I just had this thought that maybe that question or a question like it, and maybe a couple other questions about people's attitudes toward the issues that Ray's is concerned about might be appropriate to have at the table. I don't know what the other questions are. I'm not very good at this, but I'm just, that's the sort of random thought I wanted to throw out for consideration.
Do you know? Oh, go ahead, Carl.
I was just gonna react spontaneously by saying it sounds like a good idea to me to provide at least potentially a counterpoint to this survey that will actually emerge and that reflects, you know, the mandate that our committee has.
So I'm going to be there on Saturday, and I'm thinking about how that's going to work. I do think we have to have some interactive stuff going on and some visuals, because Maria, didn't you sit at that table last year? I think I remember. Oops, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I came. Yep.
And if you don't have anything to draw people to the table, nobody's going to come.
Nobody's going to come. Yep.
Right. I mean, we need to have some kind of, at least, I mean, I could have my husband do a poster, a little, you know, flag thing that says Racial and Social Equity Committee. And I guess people who would stop might be people who would be willing. It would have to be, are you interested in filling out a little questionnaire? You know, did you see that Robert Gordon wrote something in the listserv about this is a time when you can bring this up and express your feelings at the Chevy Chase Day? Did anybody read that from him? Like, to make it be like a come to Jesus kind of place for this issue.
Yeah, kind of revival. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which I don't really think is necessarily appropriate, but I mean, yeah, I'm that would be fine if that could get put together.
I think you're right. You need a sign to draw people in.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be happy to be at the table, except that I've got to be at another one for a period. And what we've done is to create a couple of triptychs that you know, advertise what we're about and what we want to talk to people about. We have a handout too. I don't know, is there a QR code for our website, for the Raise website? If there's not, they're easy to get apparently.
No, I don't think so.
And you know, to put one on a piece of paper with some of the orientation points or mandates for our committee, just as a handout, so people have something to take away from the table, would be useful. Just, you know, just run them off. It doesn't have to be fancy, just to give people an idea that RAISE exists, that it has a mandate, and that you can get back to a web presence with a QR code. But even if you don't have the QR code, just, you know, with a URL on it, there's at least something.
Yeah. Well, Libby said that she was going to prepare something for a handout. I mean,
Yes.
we have to have a handout.
Yeah, so Libby said she'll do some handouts for Saturday. I don't know about a QR code that goes to our website, but I could probably ask her about it. And then with the survey, if we do something with the survey, I think we should also, yeah, I think we should do something that, yes, some questions that talk about just to hear what different programming or type of events they would like to see from us in the future as well. And I could start a document for our survey at the table and send it around to people to add questions if you guys like, or if somebody else wants to start that.
I think that'd be a great idea, Corinthian. I would be happy, after people do their input and we all agree to, to format something and maybe print out a bunch of copies if we're going to do it, hard copy. I can take care of that. I'm pretty good at that. I'm a good secretary.
Yeah,
Interrupt a minute. Cal said he can't get, he needs to have somebody allow him into the meeting. I just got a text from him. Caranthea, can you do that? He's waiting to get in.
Yep, it just popped up and I just admitted him and Renee.
Great. Well, I liked your question, Ron. I don't think it should be anything much longer than that. People are not gonna wanna fill out a long survey and I don't think.
yeah. There's another question, of course, that is ancillary to all of this is the weather. And I don't know, Channel 4 is forecasting bad weather for Saturday. I have no idea. I'm in touch with Christine Desmarais, who supposedly is supervising this whole operation now. I guess together with Robert Gordon, but I haven't heard a thing about contingency plans.
Yeah, the forecast is 80% chance of rain, but I don't know. The forecast is so variable these days. You never know. I suppose they're gonna have to make a decision by Friday.
Yeah.
So I use Weather Underground, which has ferociously accurate forecasts, and they're showing, I can't see the percentage right now, at least a 50% chance between 10 and 4 with a total of a half an inch, which is that's the first of several rainy days, and it's the heaviest of the rainy days.
Yeah, so I don't even know if there's a contingency plan that is a rain date. I guess we'll find out then during the course of the week, but it shouldn't prevent us. I mean, there are some no regret strategies here. It would be nice to have the kinds of documents that we're talking about anyway,
Right.
so that we could use them in other manifestations of our outreach to the community, right? I mean, what I think Corinthia was talking about this social that she mentioned before, may be another opportunity. And in essence, anytime there's a sit-down meeting of any kind, of any of the committees of the ANC, it's an opportunity also for us to pass something out.
Mhm.
So, I mean, what I'm saying is that if we create something, it won't go to waste.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so
And
Corinthia, you're going to take the first step.
Yes, I'll take the first step at putting down a couple questions for a survey, and I'll send it around. And then if there is like a rain delay or something, maybe we could do it in something like I mean, this, I would say, and adding to Chevy Chase Day is maybe putting on the website a way to gather responses for people, and as well as putting it on the community listserv to get responses to our survey as well. So I'll do that. And then Marilee, are you gonna look into having your husband?
yeah,
Okay, so it
I'll
seems
do a
like,
poster. Should it say RASE and then Racial and Social Equity Committee, ANC 34G? That's
Yep.
Yeah.
that's
Corinthia,
good.
if you're going to send it to the listserv, I would suggest also sending it to Jerry Mallett's, because he has a broader.
Oh, okay, yep. His
Yeah,
newsletter.
and Chevy, and the Facebook group Chevy Chase Chatter.
Because if it only goes to
Okay.
the listserv, I mean, it'll be the usual suspects that
Yeah.
will answer.
Yeah. Okay. And I think I guess too the goal is like trying to see what the community interest is for us having events that they'll come to and be interested in. So okay.
And maybe you could share that with us before you send it. I just, what listserv
Yep.
is so
Yep,
volatile.
yep.
I just think we should, be mindful about what we put on it.
Yes. I think it'll probably be like the just in general what I'm thinking about would be the questions. If maybe the one question Ron suggested, what are some ideas of events you would like to see raised, put out in the community? Would you be interested in attending a social? Yes or no? Just maybe like those types of questions. I don't think it'll be beyond, I'm not thinking of doing anything that's beyond what the survey committee is trying to do, but
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just a little, it's different. I mean, my impulse came from being frustrated there, but I don't think it's a counterpoint even really to the survey committee. It's just a way of getting our word out and getting people's input into what activities we might do.
We might not want to call
Okay.
it a survey because people are going to get freaked out that we're doing a separate survey.
questionnaire, maybe.
It's
That is a good
at
point.
best it's a questionnaire. Yeah.
Yeah. To give people another chance to weigh in and with different prompts that may elicit different information. I think, as Ron said before, the survey, as it appears to be emerging right now, is more or less ask people, what do you find distasteful about the already adopted small area plan, which is for a mixed use campus, right? And so it's just an invitation for criticism. But I mean, basically, what needs to happen, I think, is we need to give people an opportunity to respond to an approach that flips the narrative and says, in essence, do you want to continue to be part of the problem, or do you want to be part of the solution for citywide problems that also affect us, right? I mean, we don't live we may think we live in a bubble, but we don't. And if people are concerned about carjackings on Connecticut Avenue, on the 5500 block, then they better start thinking about what programs are necessary in the longer term to answer some of the burning questions of the city. So these things are interconnected.
Well, I've been on, as Ron and I have been on every single survey committee meeting. And I can tell you that the latest rash of grievances has been that I am opposed to, on almost every question. I'm opposed to affordable housing on 2 of the questions, and I'm opposed to housing on at least 1 or 2 of the questions as well. So for them, they feel like that's flipping the narrative because they say there's multiple organizations that support affordable housing, and the only one that actually, is vocal enough is that aptly misnamed Chevy Chase voice. And I can see their point, frankly, but I want to be careful about using language that even suggests that we're trying to flip the narrative. Let's do it without saying that's what we're going to do.
Definitely.
But
no, you're absolutely right, Carl. The current draft has about 20 opportunities for a respondent to say, I want no development on the civic core. It has 0 opportunities for a respondent to say why.
Right. And
Is
that
there,
would be-
can they say they support affordable housing on the civic forum?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, and they
Yes,
give them
you
different
can-
levels. They give them different levels, you know.
Okay.
But this was a hotly debated topic, and they were gonna put it in the survey until about 2 or 3 meetings ago when they cut it out. They wanted to have a text box that said why, or if not, why not, or why do you, or even just why do you feel the way you feel about it one way or the other. And that has been, there's a couple of people who are very, very vocal, a couple of women who are very vocal about saying, that's an inappropriate question to be asking us.
Yeah, because they'd have to tell the truth.
right, and you know, and they don't need to be unnamed. It's the far extreme listserv denizens. It's Andrea Rosen, and it's Michelle Wolin, and it's that racist woman Barnes, and you know they're there at every meeting, acting like they're the voices of reason, and they represent a community that is under attack by the Office of Planning. I mean, it is, the inmates are running the damn asylum on that committee. It's just really, really difficult.
You know, I made
But
a
don't
comment.
get me started. We don't need
I
to
know.
go down the committee route here.
Yeah,
Cal and I attend these hearings, and then we I don't know about Cal, but then we go into therapy for the rest of the day to you
We're
know
glad you're in the trenches
to
for us, Ron.
Not me.
to recover,
I'm the-
and it's a vicious cycle. But I do think what the lesson learned is that if we don't keep finding ways to talk about the social and racial equity and how it impacts our neighborhood, then it will get lost, because people like this feel they are entitled to whatever it is they want, and without regard for consequences. And I think our job is to say there's a certain history, there are consequences from that history, there are actions you can take now, and there are consequences from those actions. And here's how we talk about it. And because other people are not talking about it, other people are really looking the other way.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you know, on this idea of flipping the narrative, now, has anybody considered the idea of you know, more than admitting, but getting behind the idea that yes, the city is trying to get as much affordable housing as possible, and it's trying to get all parts of the city to take part. We haven't taken part. Why? And then in that context, say, why are you, if you are against it, why are you against this? Why don't you want to do something that the city, looking at the entire city, thinks is so important?
When I sent the question that I shared with you to the committee members, I had a little preface to it where I said that these questions, this matter of racial equity, and these questions are at the core of the mayor's program and the Rock Creek West, and at the core, explicitly, Matt Fruman has said it's at the core of his position on this. And the city has a program in place to look at all these sort of decisions, planning, DEMPED, all these sort of decisions through a race, an equity lens. So why aren't we asking ourselves, where do we stand on this? Or is there a conflict there or not? And again, they ghosted it. They don't want to deal with it.
You know, final
Final
word for me on this is that you know, there is this notion that we're a laggard, and more that our neighborhood is being sized up correctly, in my estimation, because of these campaigns. as a retrograde reactionary laggard in these questions. And so the obvious question that emerges for this, why can't we be a model instead of a laggard? And give
Well,
people a choice to say, would you like to be on the right side of history or not?
Well, I mean, I think
Corinthia, send that draft to Carl first.
I would
You
say
can add that question.
I want to make two quick comments. One is that in last week's survey committee call.
Oh, Cal,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I wanted to ask something that's still on topic of what we were just discussing.
I thought we were just discussing the survey.
We were just talking about we need to do something in the community to kind of talk about, the people who are against affordable housing and not. And I guess I just wanted to pose, I had suggested that we kind of like have a social, so it's in the fall, maybe October, November timeframe. So I just wanted to see if the committee would be interested in us doing some type of event like that, because then I can start looking at certain venues to where we can have a meet and discreet and a discussion about I know Carl committee has talked about the history and everything about that, but I think it's just more about us talking as a community about affordable housing and welcome affordable housing on the avenue. So I just want to see if that's something that we want to explore, and I will take the lead on that, trying to find venues where we can have something at, or what do you guys think about that? Because
I was under the impression that we had decided to go ahead and do that, and even talked about maybe doing it monthly. So I think we, as a committee, had given the thumbs up on that. Am I incorrect in my assumption, folks?
I think we did talk about it positively. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not all of us have to be there all the time, but and maybe monthly is a little bit too much, but
that's a big lift.
But regularly anyway, quarterly, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll look at some dates and I'll throw them out there. I initially had threw out a date in September and I didn't hear back from people, so I wasn't gonna try to do something, and I didn't hear back. So I'll look into that again, and then I'll pose it to you guys. And I don't know, maybe the first one should just be like a meet and greet, and then the next one we can have like these conversations that we're discussing that we should have. So I'll report back.
I don't remember getting that, Corinthia.
Okay. So maybe
do we have a budget for this? We don't, do we?
We don't, but I was just gonna look at the avenue and see if it was like if we could just get a couple appetizers, and then if people wanted anything more than that, then they're welcome to do it on their own. So not something I was looking at that we would need a budget for.
Oh, okay.
But okay. I'm sorry, go ahead, Cal.
Oh, I was just gonna put a footnote on the survey conversation. In last week's call, people were saying something about it's not logical or rational to blah blah blah, and I said, but people often choose what they do then on basis other than being rational. People are irrational, and Susan Barnes made one of these dismissive sounds like, oh God, you got to be kidding me. But people are irrational. I mean, it seems to me, especially with an issue like this, there's a lot of people who do make irrational decisions. We are both rational and irrational human beings, and I think that will be taken care of, taken into consideration. So, I think we have to be careful about our colliding with the survey, Ron, and I know you're sensitive to that.
I do too.
When we do our questionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, as Carl said, I think we're probably close to the horse being dead on this conversation. I don't know, because my understanding is that Corinthia is going to put together the corpus of the questionnaire and then pass it around to us so we can finalize it. I
Yep.
think we had a plan.
Yep. So I think we covered the majority items of our agenda. Is there, so we have what we're gonna have on the table for Chevy Chase Day. I'll send out a couple of questions in the questionnaire. You guys will edit. I'll look into maybe us having our first meetup meeting for the community sometime in October. Is there anything else anybody wanted to bring up for the group?
Well,
Right.
before I do, and I sent it an email, but I also want to make sure that we have somebody who's checking to see what their rain plan is if it rains for the whole event. That would be useful to know.
I'll just send a note to, I mean, if you'd like, I'm in touch with her anyway. I'll send a note to Christine Desmarais, who's now the president of CCCA, the sponsoring organization for this, and ask her. I'll CC Robert Gordon as well. I think basically it's in Robert's hands, but technically speaking, it's a CCCA function.
And the other thing is, I wasn't here for the first part of the meeting. I couldn't get in, so I don't know what we're going to put on the table. So if somebody wants to tell me either now or later, I'd love to know what's going to be on our table.
Yep. So Mary Lee had volunteered her husband to make a sign that says racial and social equity race, ANC committee 3G, 4G. Libby is gonna do some flyers, and then we're gonna do this survey. We'll have that on the table. So that's the only thing that we discussed, and we only had a couple items on the agenda, 3 items, and we just went through those.
Okay, great. So the other item I suggested was, it's a small administrative item about our listserv that we use to communicate. And that is that we keep getting commissioners sending mail to us. And what happens is somebody ends up having to forward them to us, and they end up getting sent to our individual email addresses. And that just becomes a real mess to me when we reply to that. So the way it's set up right now is that anybody who's not a member who posts to the list, we get an almost immediate notification to the admin saying that there's an opportunity to let that person's email get posted or to reject it. Unfortunately, I can't keep on top of it because it may be several hours before I actually look at my email because I don't get it on my phone. I only get it on my computer. So I'd love to have 1 or 2 other people who notice these things. And I can show you what they look like on the screen if you want to, but you just get an email saying moderate. And then if you just reply to that notice without changing anything, it automatically sends the person's message through. So the commissioners can communicate with us much more quickly. So I don't want to just open it up to let people post directly to the list, because then we'll open ourselves up to potential spam and scam. But this seems like a good way to work it. Does anybody want to do that role? I think having 1 or 2 other people. And I don't think there's any harm if multiple people do it, because once it gets approved, and it posts immediately. When it this Peter Lynch, I think, sent something to us a few days ago.
I don't really understand the problem. I think Peter asked for mine and 1 other email that he didn't have, but he had tried to send them, so I didn't get it. I only got the one that was forwarded from Lisa.
Right, but that's the problem, is that he's trying to send them to us as individuals.
Yeah.
And he should be sending it to our CCDC race email
Right.
address,
Right.
which he does do, but then it sits there waiting for somebody to approve it. And in the meantime, Lisa or somebody picks it up and then forwards it to us as individuals. So it's kind of a bit of a mess.
So I honestly don't think it's like an issue right now. I think in the event, if we do get emails in the future, that whoever gets the email, they could just do the reply all to everybody and add the raised members. I just don't think we get messages that frequent to where I just feel like they're like one-off.
Well, it happens frequently enough, 2 or 3 times a month, I'd say. And that what happens is it doesn't get into our message archives, and we respond outside of the listserv as individuals. And then if I were to go searching for that conversation, searching for CCDC race stuff in the subject line, it won't show up. So I think it's important to have those inquiries and comments that are sent to us by folks who are not members of this committee show up in our archives. So to me, it is an issue. You want to keep a record of what we're doing. And then I
Maybe you should take this up with Lisa. Maybe Lisa has I don't.
Well, I'm the one who holds the listserv, so it's not a Lisa thing.
Okay, I see.
So I just wanted to find if there are 1 or 2 people who, what you'll do is if I make you an admin or a moderator, then you'll just get one of these emails from whoever it is saying that Peter Lynch or somebody wants to post to the list. You approve it or reject it. And all you have to do is reply, and it'll go, and his email will go through to the list. So it's a very simple task. I can go over it with, y'all want to do it. I'm just asking for a couple people to volunteer.
So you are doing it on your own now? You approve everything that goes out?
No, because by the time if I go 6 hours without looking at my email, Lisa or somebody else will pick it up and then go ahead and post it to the individual email addresses, and it bypasses the listserv. I mean, it doesn't bypass listserv, it goes to listserv also, but the subject line doesn't come out with CCDC race, so it makes it difficult to search for past conversations. And I search a lot through our past conversations. What I'm trying to do is avoid them having to send it to us as individuals. They send it to us as a group. So all it does is require you get a notice, you see it in your email, and then you just reply to it if you think the post ought to be posted. That's simple. I mean, I can make everybody an admin, and then whoever gets to it first whoever sees it first gets to it.
That actually sounds like a good solution.
That sounds like a good
Yeah, I was
idea.
going to say
Yeah,
that might be the
'cause-
better thing.
Yeah, because you're saying that oftentimes you don't get there, so Lisa or somebody else takes some action. Well, if they took that action as an admin, it would be the action you want, right?
Right. Well, Lisa's not an admin. She didn't want to be an admin. I'm an admin. I think, Maria, you might still be an admin. Oh, that might be the old listserv. I don't remember.
So could you make everyone an admin with the exception of Lisa, since she didn't want to previously be one, and then.
Can I ask a
If we-
question before we do this?
Sure.
Hi,
Maurice.
Maurice.
Hi, sorry, I've been listening in. Making everybody an admin, what does that open us all up to in terms of additional messages or things that might confuse us about the listserv?
About the only thing I ever get as an admin are these notices that I'm talking about.
Like the one from Peter Lynch? No, that came from
Right.
Lisa.
The thing is, when I assign you I've been assigning you as a moderator, actually, not an admin. And so there's a long list of privileges that come with that role. And I would just check off the 1 or 2 that apply to this. So you wouldn't be concerned with things like billing. And by the way, I'm paying for this every month, $20 out of my own for pocket. So that's a conversation I want to have when Lisa's here. We never did get that resolved.
You're
but-
paying 20 for the groups?
Yes. For
The groups? I thought that was free. Like when it used to be
but
Yahoo's
because
groups.
because we had subcommittees, you can't have subcommittees unless you buy the plan. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So maybe we should revisit if we should have subcommittees and just keep it as the full. And then how about, since Libby and I are the chair, you just give it to us and I'll just let Libby know about it, and then you'll have the people you need.
Okay. Sure. That'd be great.
Thank you,
so
Corinthia.
You like that solution better than making everyone a moderator?
Yeah, I agree with. Mark.
Prefer that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Corinthia.
Great, that's a great suggestion. Thank you. All right.
I had one other suggestion for a future meeting of ours, or maybe a some sort of special thing with the community, is that you know, as we know, sort of know, the city has its programs for reviewing things through lens of equity, right? And there are offices and officers and, you know, people doing that at the city level. I at least don't know how that works. I don't know who these people are, what sort of criteria they use, how they go about their reviews, all that, and it'd be really interesting to hear a representative from the mayor's office or the council talk about it, and you know, talk about how they see their job and what they're doing and how it might relate to how we might contribute to it. You know, by we, this committee or this or any particular ANC, any residents. So again, I don't know who exactly the people are to contact. I think Lisa might have a better handle on that, but maybe invite them to a meeting to you know, give us a 20-minute presentation on what they do. So that's my idea.
So I like that idea.
You too.
Can I like volunteer you, Ron? Do you mind like touching base with Lisa on like who we could work with to do
You can
that?
volunteer. I'll take on that limited task. Yes.
Okay. Thank
If
you.
Lisa is still speaking to me after tonight's survey committee meeting.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, we've got
Okay.
to give the poor guy 12 minutes to prepare, I think.
Yeah, and then I have to get into my therapy session afterwards.
Well, good luck trying to revive that question. I think that's a worthy pursuit or endeavor.
Yeah, well, I'm
Okay.
not hopeful.
Well, I don't know what's been going on this survey, but I would be interested if you sent out a note about the debrief of that. But
I would be interested in too, yeah.
Okay.
okay. Is there anything else? So just to recap, Mary Lee is gonna work with getting a sign. Libby, I'll touch base with her about the flyers. I'll get the survey, the questionnaire out to you guys. I'll also look into an event, a meet and greet, an event possibly at the Avenue, and then Ron to get back to us. Maybe that could be the next event, about just touching base with Lisa and trying to see getting the mayor's office or the council, the groups that's doing equity in the greater in DC and in DC proper, to come out and talk to us about some of the things that they're doing. And I think our next meeting is scheduled for October 17th, possibly. I don't have the list, but it's on the website, so I think it's the 17th.
It's the
And then
17th.
okay, and then I'm just gonna caveat, if it rains, I'm not gonna be there. So I just want to get you on the heads up.
Oh, come on. Pretend it's Noah's Ark, right?
So that's it.
I'll be there at 1, Cal, so it'll be you and me for a while. Maria, aren't you gonna do it again this year? Come on over.
Come on, we can have fun with Robert Gordon.
Yeah,
know?
right.
Was Libby the one who
Can-
fielded it last time?
I had
I-
a dream, I had a dream last night that I'm gonna go over and set up early and then come back like at 1:45. And I dreamt that when I came back, the table was gone, there was no evidence of any space that we had, and it was just gone, you know?
Right.
I just want to say this is me processing information in sort of real time, and I'm trying to make it relevant to Chevy Chase Day this weekend and how it might, this might impact it. But you know, I was just thinking about this whole blow up about Jan Wenner and Rolling Stone and his book about the masters of rock, and how it was sort of just obvious to him that white men were the only people that could be masters, and that women and people of color just didn't have the intellectual depth or whatever to qualify as masters for rock and roll music. And Rolling Stone has been this icon of music and style for decades, and I don't think people ever thought to think of it twice as a systemically racist institution, when it clearly in retrospect was. And I think it's just sort of the thing of that we keep getting reminded that we've just grown up in this society where there were this ingrained perceptions. And so just trying to tie this back to this whole conversation about the Chevy Chase core and what we're dealing with here. It's like we keep just being reminded that it's just all around us, and that's, whether we like it or not, this is how the country was created. And things like what Matt Fruman is doing in order to like get rid of all those pre-1938 covenants and other things, we're all trying to correct what was wrong. And so but it takes us all just to be able to recognize that just something we took for granted or didn't realize, or just the air we were breathing was biased. So I don't know, I'm sorry, thank you for letting me vent and process. I don't know how much sense that made, but it's just we just constantly get reminded of this. And so I don't know what I'm trying to say other than just thinking out loud. So
No, that's
I'll shut up
great.
now.
That's great. And hopefully when we have our events and our meet and greets, we can have like discussions like that. But for this moment, I'm gonna end the recording for our meeting. I adjourn our meeting. I'm gonna stop the recording.
And I
Give me-
want to say, Maurice, that I have personal stories of being in the record business in the 80s, where all that came up, particularly